The 9 o'clock news from the BBC with Julia Somerville as John Humphrey.
You have been promised in that agreement the institutions, traditions and way of life so important to the people of Hong Kong will be preserved.
Governor Creon has announced a new mandate within the city of Hong Kong. No one is to pay respect to his fireman who was killed today. This includes his nephew, Colonial.
2 brothers have died today in the Kowloon Walled City. Royal Hong Kong Police Chief Eurydice was brutally killed in the fatal shootout. The son of former Governor Eurydice is survived by his 2 sisters, Antigone and Ismene. Their brother Polonices, a Triad leader with outstanding warrants against him, also died at the scene.
Ismene! The same blood flows in both of our veins. The blood of Eurydice, which is his suffering and his destiny, is our punishment too. The sentence passed on to all his children. Physical pain, contempt, insults, every kind of dishonor. We've seen them all and endured them all. Both of us. But there's more to come. Now, have you heard this new proclamation that the governor has made to the whole city? Have you heard how those closest to us are to be treated with the contempt we reserve for traitors? People we love.
No one has told me anything, Antigone. I have heard nothing, neither good nor bad about anyone we love. One day, one battle, fracture side twice over. But the Triad has retreated last night, I have heard that. Nothing else to cheer me up or depress me further.
That's what I thought. Which is why I asked for you to meet me here so I can tell you everything without the risk of being overheard.
What is it then? More terrible news? Something black and pregnant, I can see that.
We have 2 brothers, both of them dead. And our uncle Creon has decreed that a decent burial shall be given to one, but not to the other. Teiresias apparently has already been buried, with full civic honors and all the duties due to the dead meticulously observed, so that he rests easy. Polonices, who died in agony just as certain as his brother did, is not to be buried at all. He is spit off the line where he fell, with no tears and no ceremonies of mourning, to stink and be open till the rats catch the scent and tear him to pieces and pick him to the bone. Left on Mary Crusade on line. You see, it's against us, you realize, and against me in particular, that he has made this decree. And he'll soon be here himself to tell all his counselors and anyone who may not have heard it. He isn't bluffing. He needs to act to make it stick. The punishment for anyone who disobeys this order is hanging. Lali, it's time for you to stand up and be counted with me. I see how Zhang
brother, she nodded. Now our two brothers, both in the same day, caught in the same trap, claiming blood for blood and death for death, each at the expense of the other. What a terrible death is promised to us, more terrible than any, than if we break the law by defying the governor and the power of the state. 佢哋就諗下先啦，佢哋講嘅有權有勢，我哋女人同佢哋鬥威咩咧？ And we have to listen to them. This time, and in maybe in worse situations than this. 對唔住，祖宗18代都係咁話㗎啦，我都唔想㗎。但係我一定要講出。I will obey the men who have entered into power. Acting rashly, thinking of no one is madness. 得啦，你唔使再講，我亦都唔會再聽。In fact, if you were to offer your help now, I would refuse it. 你想點就點啦。I intend to bury my brother, and if I die in that attempt, I shall die in the knowledge that I have acted justly. What greater satisfaction than that? For a loving sister to embrace her loving brother in the grave, or to be condemned for the criminal act of seeing him at peace. 人生短暫. We have too little time for men and the laws that they make. The approval of the dead is everlasting, and I shall bask in it as I lay among them. Do as you please. Live by all means. The laws that you will break are not of man's making. 我明啦，你想我點啊？你真係覺得我有資格去 challenge 佢哋咩？得啦，你有你嘅藉口。I'll go through a grave on my dearest brother. Frightened, wretched Antigone, I'm frightened for you. Don't be frightened for me. You've chosen your own fate. Keep this quiet. Don't tell anyone. Keep this meeting a secret. Zehra! You must tell everybody. You must shout it in the streets. If you keep it secret, I shall begin to hate you. But it makes me go cold just to hear you. 唔係為咗你，我為咗佢啊。This obsession will destroy you. You are certain to fail! I shall fail, and I have failed not before. But you know it's hopeless. Why begin when you know you can't possibly succeed? Zehra! Before I begin to despise you for talking so feebly, he will despise you too, and justly. You can go now. Taylor? If I'm mad, you can leave me here with my madness, which will doubtless destroy me soon enough. Death is the worst thing that can happen, and some deaths are more honorable than others. Antigone, it's madness. Did you see something? Whatever happens.
The life-giving sun has never shone more brightly as it shines in the 7 gates this morning. Never a more glorious story than this sunrise of Eurydice's river, when the army of the foreign invader at first light made its panic-stricken flight, and all of its white shields and its bright weapons were gone.
Like a snowy eagle from the mountain crest, it came shrieking down on our city. The army of armies, with Vesperia's treaty to enforce Polynesia's claim, all of its horsehair plumes nodding together, and a grinding of brass, and a creaking of leather.
7 shadow gates awaited, eyes glittering in dark helmets, swords drawn, spears couching. But before the killing and the burning, the metallic taste of blood, the crashing stonework and the blazing wood, they turned and fled. The music of death in their ears, at their backs, the dragon's breath. Zeus had seen them. He who hates inflated pride, the empty boast of a windbag. He had heard their singing as if victory was theirs for the taking. And he brought down thunder upon their glittering host, struck them with lightning, sent them flying, scorched them, burnt them, and left them dying.
Down like a rock from a mountain crest, he came thundering to the earth, the flame dashed from his hand. The son of Thebes, whose best hope of fame was to conquer his native land, and who failed in his quest. For the war god gave us his word of command. Like a battle chariot, his terrible name ran them down where they stood, and they died in the dust. Now at each of our 7 gates, a Theban defender waits, as 7 champions bring their fame and their armor to the fight. And before the coming of the night, 6 have put their fame to the test. 6 have laid both fame and armor to rest.
By the 7th gate, 2 brothers meet, sharing blood and death as in birth, each striking together, each laying the other dead on the earth.
There will be victory celebrations tonight in the city of charioteers and singing in the streets. There will be ceremonies of thanksgiving, of grateful tears for the end of fighting, as the enemies retreat and time has come for relaxation and play. Now as all voices are raised and the drum beats, the ecstatic god himself will come into the city he calls his own. Time to dance all night, to shake the foundations until the faint light of dawn flushes through the window and the lamps fade. Now, Creon is governor. He made the most of his fortune, the god's choice, the son of Meneses. As the people rejoice, the new king enters to take his throne. The responsibility is known. But why has he called us here to debate an emergency session, his public proclamation so vital to the state?
Council, this territory, like a ship at sea, has survived the hurricane. We have navigated into calmer waters now. I have chosen to summon this assembly because I know that I can trust you. You were loyal and reliable in Leah's time, and when Governor Oedipus, in his exceptional wisdom, restored the fortunes of this city. When tragedy struck him and his rule was ended, your loyalty to the crown was never in question, and you stood by the side of his sons till they too were brought down in a single day, incestuously murdered, each brother shedding a brother's blood. In the wake of this bloodshed, and as the next of kin, I claim the governorship and all its power, both city and kingdom. I claim it and hold it from today as mine by right. There is no certain measure of a man's quality, the depth of his intellect and the maturity of his judgment, until he is put to the supreme test by the exercise of lawful power in the state. My own opinion is well known. The ruler, who fears the consequences of his actions or who is afraid to act openly or take the good advice of his counsel, is beneath contempt. Equally contemptible is the man who puts the interests of his friends or his relations above his own country. There is nothing good can be said of him. Let me make it plain before you whose eyes are on every council chamber. When I see any threat to this nation from whatever direction, I shall make it public. No one who is an enemy of the state shall ever be a friend of mine. The state, the crown, it is everything to us. The ship we all sail in. If she sinks, we drown, and friendship drowns with us. That is my policy. A policy of service to this Commonwealth. And in pursuance of that policy, I have issued an official state decree regarding the sons of Oedipus. Eteocles, who died fighting in battle and with exceptional bravery. We shall bury him with all the honors and funeral ceremonies customary of a man who died a hero. The other, the outcast, the exile, Polynices, who returned here as the leader of a triad to destroy his homeland, burn down this city, and reduce its people to a condition of slavery or kill them in the streets, I have ordered he is to have no grave at all. No one is to bury him or mourn for him. His body will be left in the open, uncovered, a stinking feast for scavengers, dogs, and crows alike, a sight to inspire terror. I intend to make it quite plain that never, under my administration, will people who commit crimes against the state ever reap any benefits from their actions, and at the expense of honest, decent citizens too. But people who serve the state, well, alive or dead, that shall make no difference. I shall honor them for their patriotism.
Son of Menesius, you are governor now. You have delivered your verdict upon the officer who defended the city, and his brother who attacked it, unambiguously. The full power of the law is in your hands, and we are at your disposal.
Make sure then that my orders are carried out.
Younger men than us should implement your policies.
I don't mean that. Colonial body is already under guard.
What else must we do? What other responsibilities do you lay upon us?
Not to intrigue with dissidents or subversive elements.
We are not mad, sir. We know the law and the penalties of breaking it.
Which will be death. And be in no doubt I shall enforce it. Because there are always men who can be bought, who will risk anything, even death, if the bribe is large enough.
Governor Creon! Sir, if I can hardly speak for lack of breath, it's not because I ran. I kept on stopping as a matter of fact. Half a dozen times, and I came here as hurried as I could. I haven't thought about anything so much for a long time. Listen, I said to myself, don't hurry, because chances are, Paul Sod, you'll copy it when you get there. But then I said to myself, you see, hang about, or rather, don't. Because if Lord Creon hears this from someone else, you're really in trouble. So I hurried here as slow as I could, going round and round in circles with my hands on my feet. It's funny how long a mile can take you when you're thinking what I was thinking. However, duty called in the end, and I reckon be safe to face it out. So, it may be unimportant, but I'm here. So now I'll tell you. If I'm punished for it, the gods will be behind it, that's for sure. So I wouldn't have escaped it anyway.
Why are you frightened?
Well, first of all, sir, for myself, I never done it, and I didn't see who else had done it either, so I shouldn't be punished for it, should I?
Is there any need for all this preamble? You take great care to associate yourself with what you say, so it must be bad news.
It is bad news, sir. And I'm so scared. I don't know how to put it for the best.
The plainest way, then we can be done with you.
Straight out with it then. The body's buried. Somewhere or other. A handful of dust. It's just dry dust, but properly sprinkled, you know. Religiously. And then gone. Whoever it was.
Do you know what you are saying? Who has dared to disobey my orders?
No way of knowing, sir. We've no idea. There've been no digging, no spade marks, nothing. The ground's rock hard, no sign of wheel tracks neither. In fact, no clues of any kind at all. Nothing to tell you might have done it. When the sentry, taking the early turn, discovered what had happened and reported back, we were shattered and scared stiff. The body's not properly buried, I don't mean, but lightly covered with a layer of earth. Almost as though some parson stranger with a religious turn of mind. Who knew that being left unburied meant everlasting anguish and wandering without rest? Had scattered a few handfuls. There'd been no signs of animals neither. Not of forks or anything. Nothing that might have gnawed at it and gobbled it over with his front legs like it might do a bone. A real row started then, I can tell you. We were all shouting and there could have been a fight. There was no one there to stop us. Any one of us could have done it. And we all suspected each other. But we all denied it. And there was no evidence to prove one man guilty than another. So we all dared each other to swear, to go through fire and water, to hold red-hot pokes in our hands, and call all the gods as witnesses that we hadn't done it, and we didn't know anyone who had, or would even think of it, let alone do it. But none of any of it got us nowhere. And then one of the fellas had it saying, this curse was shitless, I can tell you. He said, and we knew he was dead right, there was no way out of it. We had to do it and take our chances. This fella said, well, one of us lot must tell the governor because we can't just hide it, can we? That's what he said. And we knew he was right. So, we decided we'd have to draw lots. And just my luck, I drew the short straw. And I don't like telling it one little bit more than you like hearing it. The bloke who brings bad news never gets a medal.
Governor Creon, this policy of yours has worried me from the start. I fear this may be some sort of sign or warning, perhaps from the gods.
How dare you? Shut your mouths, all of you, before I lose my temper. And you, if you are a superannuated fool, at least don't talk like one. Is it likely, remotely likely, that the gods will think twice over that pile of stinking meat? By God, it's blasphemy even to suggest that they would care a damn whether he was buried or not, let alone given an honourable funeral as though he was one of their principal supporters. The man who came to burn down their temples, plunder their treasures, pull down their statues, and bring destruction and contempt to their land and its laws. Do the gods love criminals these days, soldier? Oh no, they do not. But, gentlemen, there are men in this city who I have noted. A subversive element, enemies of the state, a cell of oppositionists, call them what you will, who dare to defy the law and my leadership. They meet in secret, and nod and whisper their seditious talk. And they are behind this, anyone can see that. They have bribed and suborned our soldiers, and they have paid for this demonstration against my authority. Money, gentlemen, money. The virus that infects mankind with every sickness we have a name for, no greater scourge than that. Money it is that pounds great cities into rubble, takes people by the millions into homeless refugees, and corrupts them into doing things they would be ashamed to think of before the fee was mentioned, until there is no crime that can't be bought. And in the end, brings them into the execution chamber. Well, whoever these men are that can be sold so easily, they shall find the price considerably higher than they thought it was. You, come here. Get this into your head. By my God, whose power I revere, I swear to you, soldier. Either you will find me the man who buried Polynices' body in defiance of my express command, and bring him here, the actual man whose spring will be earth, no other will do, or you, soldier, will die for it. And death will be the least of your punishments, I promise you. You will be interrogated by the police and made a public example of, kept standing, beaten across the feet. The whole repertoire of special techniques at which we excel so much, until you confess the full range of this conspiracy. Who paid you, how much, and for what purpose? The choice is yours, and perhaps that will indicate where your own best interests lie. Crimes against the state and its laws, you will find, are very unprofitable in the end.
Am I allowed to speak, sir?
No! Why should you speak? Every word you say is painful to my ears.
Well, it can't be earache, can it, sir? Not what I said. It must stick in your gullet, or further down, maybe a sort of pain in the conscience.
Do you dare to answer me back? And make jokes about my conscience?
Me, sir, no, sir. I might give you earache. I can see that. I talk too much, always have done. But the other pain, the heartburn, as it were, it's a criminal causing that, sir, not me.
You're not sure of a quick answer right now.
Maybe not, but I didn't bury the body. Not guilty to that, sir.
But guilty maybe of selling your eyes for money, eh, Central? Of looking the other way for cash.
I think it's a shame, sir, that an intelligent man, and as well educated as you are, should miss the point so completely.
I am not interested in your opinions. If you fail to find this enemy of the state and bring him here, you will find that money from whatever source will certainly not save your life.
Let's hope they find him, whoever he is. One thing I'm sure of, they won't find me. I never thought I'd get out of here alive. And when I do get out, nothing will bring me back in. I've had an amazing stroke of luck, and I won't chance my arm a second time.
Is there anything more wonderful on Earth, our marvelous planet, than the miracle of man? With what arrogant ease he rides the dangerous seas, from the waves' towering summit to the yawning trough beneath the Earth Mother herself, the oldest of the ageless gods before time began, learned to enjoy his driving power, turning the earth and breaking the clods till by the sweat of his brow she yielded up her fruitfulness.
The quick-witted birds are no match for him, neither victim nor predator among the beasts of the plain or the sea-seething masses.
His cunning surpasses their instinct. His skill is the greater. His snares never fail. And his nets teem.
The wild bull of the savage mountain, and the magnificent stag who passes like a king through upland and glen. The untamed horse with his matted tresses uncut on his neck. All submit to man, and the yoke, and the bit, and his power increases.
He has mastered the mysteries of language and thought, which travels faster than the wind. He has tamed the brave rational.
Political wisdom too, all the knowledge of people and state, all the practical arts of government he has studied and refined, built cities to shelter his head from rain and danger and cold, and ordered all things in his mind. There is no problem he cannot resolve through the exercise of his brain or his breath. And the only disease he cannot resolve or cure is death.
In action, he is subtle beyond imagination, limitless in his skill, and he uses these gifts for both good and evil ends.
All that honor and the state uplifts that man to the heights of glory, whose powers uphold the Constitution, and the gods and their laws. The city prospers. But if he shifts his ground and takes the wrong path, despising morality, blown up with pride, indulges himself and his power, at my heart may he never warm himself, sit at my side. But wait, I can't believe my eyes.
True. This is Antigone. I recognize her as clearly as
Father's destiny was suffering and
Charles,
pain.
you always disobeyed the government.
Must you manhandle her in this way?
Oh, we saw it putting up the memorial plaque. Caught him in the act, as they say, red-handed. Only, it's not him. It's a her. Where's the governor?
Just returning now when he's most needed.
What is all this noise? By the looks of things, I pay not a moment too soon.
Governor Creon, sir. I reckon it's always unwise to swear oaths and make promises, even to yourself. Second thoughts, 9 times out of 10, will have their say and end up by calling you a liar. It's no time at all since I promised myself on meeting dead here again. You were that angry with me the last time. A right mouthful you gave me. More than enough. Thanks very much. But you can't beat a real turn up for book, can you? There's nothing more enjoyable than a good win when you're expecting 1,000. So, here I am, again, as the comic says, and my promise is not worth the air they were spoken with. This girl's your criminal. We caught her doing it, actually setting the body to rights. I brought her in and there was no panic this time, I can tell you. No recriminations or joint lots. This job was all mine, I caught her, and I claim the credit for it. And now, she's all yours. Take her and accuse her, stone her to death if you like. By rights I'm free to go. I'm shot of all of it.
Where did you arrest her? Tell me the details.
Sir, she was placed in his burial clay. What else is there to say?
Are you out of your mind? Do you know the implications of what you are saying?
She was paying her respects. The body ordered not to be respected. I can't speak plainer than that.
Did you catch her in the act? Did you see her doing it?
Well, gentlemen, it was like this. As soon as I got out, remembering all those threats or promises you made me, we brushed all the earth of the body, which was all wet and beginning to decay by now, and we sat up on the ridge, well to the windward of the stink, kept a sharp eye on each other, ready to nudge anyone who dropped off and tear him off his job as well. Oh, for hours we sat there, till around midday, and the sun was smack overhead, beaten down, and the heat was something terrible, I can tell you. And then, suddenly, it was like a whirlwind blew up. Definitely a twister it was, but localised like. And it swept through the city and raised up a dust storm. Took all the leaves off the trees and blotted out the whole sky and completely blinded us. It seemed like some terrible manifestation of the gods, and you had to shut your eyes to endure it all. Then suddenly, it stopped. And when the air cleared, we opened our eyes and saw this girl standing there beside the furnace and sort of wailing, as though she was in pain, or maybe anger. Maybe it was anger, I'm not sure. As soon as we saw that, we came marching down and arrested her on the spot. She wasn't frightened or anything, she stood her ground. So then we formally charged her with the crime, this and one before, And she admits she'd done them both. It was a relief to hear that, I can tell you, but sorry too at the same time. It's very nice to get yourself out of trouble. Not so nice when you drop someone else up to the neck in it. Someone you've got no quarrel with, but still, your own life comes first, I reckon. You'll have to look after number one.
And you with your head down. What do you have to say to this accusation? Are you guilty or not?
Yes, I'm guilty. I don't pretend otherwise.
Soldier, get out. You're cleared of all charges against you and free to return to your unit. Now tell me, did you or did you not hear my order forbidding the burial?
Of course I heard it. How could I not?
And yet you dared to disobey the law!
Yes, I did! Because it's your law, not the law of God. Natural justice, which is of all times and places, not material, not of governors, and recognizes no such law. You are merely a man, mortal like me, and the laws that you enact cannot overturn ancient moralities or common human decency. They speak the language of eternity, are not written down and never change. They're for today, yesterday, and all time. No one understands where they came from, but everybody recognizes their force, and no man's arrogance or power can ever make me disobey them. I would rather suffer the disapproval and punishment of men than dishonor such ancient truths. I shall die, of course, sometime, whether you make laws or not. If my death comes sooner rather than later, I shall welcome it. My life has been misery, is misery now. I shall be more than happy to leave it. There'll be no pain or despair in that. But to leave my mother's son out there in the open, unburied, that would have been unendurable. I could not have borne it. Whereas this I shall endure. By your judgment, of course, I'm a fool. But by mine, it's the judge, not the accused, who's behaving foolishly.
This is her father speaking. Stubborn like him, she wouldn't give way. Not even with the whole power of the state against her.
Well, we shall see. Any man can be broken, and often the most committed and determined break soonest. Even iron, left lying in the fire for too long becomes over-tempered, and will snap as soon as a little pressure is applied. You can break it into pieces. And the wildest horse in the end submits to the bits and halter just like the rest. People without power, ordinary citizens must necessarily obey those in authority over them. This woman is very proud. That was obvious in the first place when she broke the law, and is even clearer now. She glories in the crime she has committed, and insults me to my face, all the while ignoring my decree. If she is allowed to flout the law in this way, all authority in the state will collapse, and I will not have that. There will be no exchanging of roles here, me playing the woman while she plays the king. She's my niece, my sister's child. But I am the law, and that responsibility is above kinship. Were she even closer? The closest. My own daughter. My duty would be plain. The law has its weapons, and they will strike at her and at her sister too, whom I've no doubt is her accomplice in this illegal act, to the full extent of the punishment prescribed. The other one, Ismene, bring her here. I saw her in the corridor earlier, talking to herself and crying like a madwoman. Guilty consciences, you see, can never be completely hidden. The human face reveals conspiracies before they are enacted, again and again. But there is nothing more disgusting than the confessed criminal who tries to justify their actions, as this woman has done here today.
What more do you want? Kill me and have done with it.
Nothing more than your death.
Then what are you waiting for? Nothing you say is of the slightest interest to me, and my arguments you will not listen to. I've done what I said I'd do. I buried my brother. I aspire to no greater honor than that. And if I am to be famous, let it be for that! All these counselors of yours, they all agree with me in their hearts, but there's no gag like terror, is there, gentlemen? And tyrants must have their way, both in word and in action. That's their privilege!
You are quite wrong. None of the Hong Kongers anywhere in the city think as you do.
They all do! But they keep their mouths shut when you're here.
Not at all. And you should be ashamed, setting yourself up against the majority, disregarding the will of the people.
I love my brother. I honor him dead as I loved him living. There's no shame in that.
And the one he murdered. Wasn't he your brother?
My mother bore them both and I loved them both.
If you honor one, you insult the other.
Neither of those dead men would say that.
Antigone would. His brother was a traitor. Does he merit no greater respect than that?
But he was not an animal. They both died together and they were both men.
Yes. One died defending this country while the other traitorously attacked it.
The dead have their rights and we have our duties towards them, dictated by common decency.
And if good and bad are to be honored equally, where are our values? Patriotism, civic duty.
Death is another country. Such things may not be valued there, may even be crimes.
An enemy is still an enemy, dead or alive.
No. I was born with love enough to share, no hate for anyone.
Very well. Share your love by all means. Share it with the dead. I wish them well of it. Women must learn to obey as well as men. There can be no special treatment. Law is law and will remain so while I am alive. And no woman will get the better of me.
Look, councillors. Ismene, weeping for her sister. Her face is raw with tears and plain with misery. Her loveliness is scarred now. This disaster darkens her skin with premonitions and fears. Her cheeks flush with anguish, not beauty.
And you, snake, slithering silently about my house to drink my blood in secret. Both of you are the same. I turned my back, and like traitors, you laid undercover plans to destroy me. Well, do you confess your part of this conspiracy? Or protest your innocence?
Yes, I confess. If she will allow me to say so. I was fully involved. And if she's guilty, then so am I.
No! That isn't justice! When I asked for your help, you said you didn't want to, so I said I'd do it alone, that I didn't need you!
But now, with the sea of troubles around you,
原來王睇住我賣佢㗎，我信唔到你得個講字嘅。
姐，你唔好咁啦，你俾我陪你啦，你唔好自己一個攬晒上身好唔好啊？
你講得出做唔到，你根本冇資格同我嗰個同撞。我嘅犧牲夠㗎啦。
我睇有人自己唔過啊！
你叫你舅父睇住你咯。
點解你要咁對我？你咁對我對你有幫助咩？
係啊，我係咁過分㗎啦。但你唔好以為我咁樣對你，我唔肉赤先得㗎。
OK，咁你而家想？
你自己執生啦。你而家走冇人會怪你㗎。
衰人，你真係唔俾我同你一齊坐埋呢條線。
係啊，係唔俾㗎啦。我一早揀條死路，你要揀條生路啊！做人就係咁化學㗎啦。
我叫咗你唔好㗎啦，你又唔聽。
係一定會有人話你啱㗎，但係其他人咧？
但係我哋兩個都一樣咁錯啊！以牙還牙係無補於事㗎。
自從阿哥走咗之後，我已經行屍走肉。我而家落去見佢，我死而無憾㗎啦。阿妹唔該，你照顧好自己啦，好唔好？
These women are neurotic. Lunatics, both of them. One going off her head before our very eyes, the other born unbalanced.
Are you surprised? Anyone will crack. Even the most tough-minded person when treated with such circumstances.
You lost your senses when you allowed yourself to be influenced by her lunacy.
There is no life for me here. Not without my sister.
Don't speak of her. She's as good as dead.
You killed the woman your son plans to marry.
There are other women. No lack of choice for a young one. Other fields to plan.
Devoted to each other. You can't change love as you change your clothes.
No son of mine will ever marry a criminal.
Oh, Haemon, when you hear how your father insults you.
Let him hear. What does his mistress matter to me?
Lord Creon, you insult your own. They are formally betrothed. Will you tear this woman away from your own son's arms?
Death parts all lovers sooner or later.
If that's how the land lies, the poor child's doomed. Her death warrant sealed and delivered.
By you, gentlemen, remember, as well as mine. You heard the decree, did you not? And agreed with it, if only in your silence before the criminal was known. I will have no more delay. Take them away, lock them up, and keep them under close guard. It's time they understood they are women, and their proper place in this society. There is nothing like the immediate threat of death to soften their rhetoric and make them look reality in the face.
They can call themselves lucky. The fortunate few who live their life through never drinking through the bitter cup of pain. But when one unlucky family incurs the god's malignity from generation to generation, they must swallow that bitter potion again and again.
如同海浪冲击，泡沫飞溅，疮痍的海滩被淹湿，黑云低垂，北风尖笑，冰冷的双唇在呼。大海从深渊中掀起石涌，如暴雨倾盆而下，从裂隙中扬起黑沙，令海岸不见天日。On every descendant of the ancient line of Labdicus, divine and merciless retribution falls.
In some unremembered past, some unforgiving Olympian cast, the weight of his whole vengeance upon the winds.
So that agony, destruction, disgrace, destroy son and daughter and darken the halls with tragedy.
Cold hands of the dead reach for the living and no one is spared. Another generation sheds its blood. New light is snuffed out the same. Young root bared by the same bloody hands. That characteristic sin of Oedipus, arrogance, brings its bleak harvest in. But all men hope, and some have ambition. Far-ranging birds that never tire, their wings drive them steadily onward.
But some others aimlessly swoop and glide down to frivolous pastures, landscapes of obsession, pathways to disaster, and a merciless fire. And no man can claim to have understood hope or ambition until the flames burn under his feet and the one solid wood of his life is reduced to its last condition: ashes and dust.
A wise man once said from the depths of his inspiration that when a man commits crimes and is proud of the action, a flaming sword hangs over his head. No future for him but the grave and the funeral urn.
Look, Creon. Here comes your son. 他是否悲痛欲绝？因为婚期将至，却怎奈命运弄人，新娘就要走进坟墓，带走所有的希望与幸福。
The last of your sons, what relief from the all-consuming fear but the bitter penance of tears? Has he come to beg for mercy from his beloved Antigone?
We shall see from his own lips, without any need of fortune tellers. My dear son, I've no doubt you've heard the news of our final decision. The condemnation of the woman you intended to marry. You come, I hope, not in any spirit of anger against your father, but an understanding that we are always comrades, and my love for you is unshaken.
I know I am your son, Father. I understand the depth of your experience, matters of state, and I try to follow and benefit from it whenever I can. Any marriage would be worthless to me that did not have your love and approval.
Good fellow. Hang on to that. A father's opinion should always be influential with his son. And fathers with young sons ask especially that they should grow up to be loyal and obedient, and under pressure the first to strike at their father's enemies, just as he is the first to support his friends. A father whose son yields no such profit from the investment of his parent but breeds grief and sorrow as his offspring, and becomes himself a figure of fun. Don't be taken in though. Don't let any woman ensnare you by exploiting her sexuality, or any of the other attractions that lure infatuated men into submission. God help the lovesick fool who marries a dominating woman. Passion never lasts, and a cold bedroom breeds cold hearts, anger, and bitterness. But there is no hatred so violent as the hatred of two people who were once in love. Let her go, my boy. This girl is an enemy, no good to you or your best interests. Spit her out like poison. Let her find herself a husband that suits her among the dead. Don't deceive yourself. She has been openly apprehended, performing a criminal act against the state. She is a confessed traitor, and if I were to spare her life, I too would betray the state and its law and everything that I stand for, and I will not do it. And she must die. Let her pray to her gods till she drops. Let her assert she stands for family values and ancient virtues and all the rest of it. If I were to tolerate treachery within my own house, how can I crush subversion anywhere else in the city or in the state at large? The man who rules wisely with his own family is more likely to make sensible judgments in political matters in the direction of the state. To pervert the law, to twist it to serve one's own ends, that cannot be allowed, neither in states nor in families, and will not be allowed in this one by me. Unquestioning obedience to whomsoever the state appoints to be its ruler is the law as far as I'm concerned. The man who is firm in his dealings with his family will be equally firm in power. His wisdom will be equally remarkable, whether as governor or indeed as subject. In times of war and national danger, he will be the man that you can rely on. The man you would feel safe with fighting beside you on the front rank when the battle becomes critical. Indiscipline, anarchy, disobedience, what greater scourge than that for mankind? Great states collapse from within. Cities are blown to rubble. Efficient armies are disorganized and potential victories turn to disaster and carnage, and all because of indiscipline, anarchy, and disobedience. Whereas the well-drilled regiment stands firm, knows nothing, and needs to know nothing, saving the lives of millions of honest people. Authority is essential in any state and will be upheld in this one by me. There will be no yielding to female fantasy, not so much as an inch. And if we are to be deposed, it's to be by man's hands.
The known man's fit to judge, Creon. You've acted sensibly, rationally, and with the wisdom gathered from long experience.
Most enviable of a man's gifts is his ability to reason clearly. It's not my place to say that you are wrong, even if I were clever enough or experienced enough, which I'm not. But it's also true to say that some men think differently about these things. As your son, it seems to me my most useful function to you is to keep you in touch with what other people are thinking, what they say and do, approve and disapprove of, and sometimes what they leave unsaid. The prospect of your disapproval is a great silencer of most men's tongues, and some things are never said for fear of the consequences. But I can sometimes hear what people whisper behind their hands, and everywhere I hear sympathy expressed for this unfortunate girl, condemned as she is to a horrifying death that no woman has ever suffered before, and unjustly in most people's eyes. In burying her brother, she did something most people consider decent and honorable. She should be given a medal for it, those same people say. And her name inscribed on a roll of honor. Such things are whispered in secret, Governor, and they have reached my ears. Sir, your reputation matters to me.
as does your good health and happiness. Indeed, your good name matters more. What could make a loving son more jealous than to see his father's reputation? And what could please a father more than to see his son's concerned that people will think well of him? Let me beg you to have second thoughts, father, and not be so certain that your own opinion is the only right one, and that all men share it. The man who thinks he has the monopoly of wisdom, that only what he says and what he thinks is of any relevance, reveals his own shallowness of mind with every word he says. The man of judgment knows it is a sign of strength, not weakness, to value other opinions, and to learn from them. And when he is wrong, to admit it openly and change his mind. You see it when a river floods. The trees that bend survive, but those whose trunks are inflexible are snapped off short by the weight of water. Or when a sailor refuses to reef his sail and run with the storm, he's likely to end up capsized. I beg you, father, please, think twice about this. Don't let your anger influence you. If a man of my age may lay some small claim to common sense, let me say this. Absolute certainty is fine. If a man can be certain that his wisdom is absolute. But such certainty and such wisdom is rare amongst men. Therefore, the next best thing we can do is to take good advice when it is offered and to learn from it.
Governor Creon, there is a lot of sense in what the Shunbag said. As indeed there was in everything that you said too. The truth is you are both right. There is a lot to be said for either.
Is there indeed? Am I expected at my age to take advice in political matters from a mere boy?
I'm a man, father. My arguments stand on their merits, not my age.
They stand upon their merits too. What merit is there, please tell me, in breaking the law?
If she had done something shameful, I wouldn't defend her.
She has brought the law into contempt. That is shameful.
Would you please listen to the people in the streets, father? The ordinary Hong Kongers, they say she hasn't.
I have never based my political principles on the opinions of people in the street.
Now who's speaking like a boy?
I am speaking as your governor. It is my responsibility and I will act according to my own convictions.
When the state becomes one man, it ceases to be a state.
The state belongs to the statesman who rules it. It reflects his judgment. It belongs to him.
Then go and rule in the desert! There's nobody there to argue with you. What a fine king you'll be!
This boy of mine is on the woman's side.
Yes, if you are a woman, I am. I am on your side, father. I am fighting for you.
You damn impertinent devil. Every word you have said has been against me, your own father.
When I know you are wrong, I have to speak.
How am I wrong? By maintaining control and authority in the state, is that wrong?
With position and authority right roughshod over moral feeling.
You are weak and uxorious and contemptible with no will of your own. You're a woman's mouthpiece.
I'm not ashamed of what I'm saying.
Every word you have said pleads for her.
I plead for you, father, and for myself, and for common humanity. Respect for the dead.
You will never marry that woman! She won't live long enough to see the day. Do you understand me?
If she dies, she won't die alone. There will be 2 deaths that day, not 1.
How dare you threaten me, your own father?
That's not a threat. I am trying to tell you that your policy was misbegotten from the beginning.
Misbegotten? Dear God, if anything's misbegotten here, it's you, my dear son. You will regret what you have spoken here today, I promise you.
If you weren't my father, I'd say you crazy.
Don't you father me. You're a woman's plaything, a tame lapdog.
Is anyone else allowed to speak? Must you have the last word in everything? Must the rest of us be gagged?
I must! As I will! And you will regret every word you have said here today. I will not be sneered at or contradicted by anyone. Sons can be punished too. Bring her out, little bitch. Let her die here today in the open, with her bridegroom beside her as her witness. You can watch the execution.
That's one sight I shall never see. nor from this moment, Father, will you ever see me again. Those that wish to stay and watch this disgusting spectacle in the company of a madman are welcome to do so.
Governor Creon, an uncontrollable anger has possessed your son. The young man's anger is a terrifying thing.
Talking self-senseless, but moral this and decent that till he raves his head off. The two women are sentenced. It will take more than bluster to reprieve them, I promise you.
Both of them, sir. You mean to put both sisters to death?
No. You are right, I can take advice. The one who covered the body, not the other.
And for the condemned one, what manner of death?
Take her to the walled city. Find an abandoned corridor unfrequented by anyone. Put her in a room and wall her up in it. Let her die there. Bury her alive. But with just enough food so that no guilt for her death will fall upon either us or the state. She will have plenty of time there to honor the gods of the dead since they received so many of her prayers. They will release her, and she will learn that worshipping the dead is not in the business of the living.
When the god of unbridled passion makes war, he always wins. No force on earth can withstand his powerful and merciless hand.
When the first flower blooms in the young girl's cheek, the remorseless magic begins. And then, deepest valley and the highest peak, his traps are set. No man's sins or virtues can keep him from the net. The mania is universal. The gods themselves run mad. Men lose their wits, and no one is spared.
When the madness strikes, no one is safe. The maturest of men who commit follies and crimes undreamed of in saner times.
What else could provoke this strife between father and son? This murderous anger between them? This family divided? There is fire in a woman's eye, incited by such consuming heat, a man's mind can burn. For Aphrodite shares power with Zeus. Her seat is at his right hand, her lightning strikes to the heart, and its power is frightening. Yet how can we talk of justice and the needs of the state while we stand and watch this unendurable sight?
Your eyes will have their way and weep, seeing Antigone like a young bride going to her bedchamber to marry the dead in their everlasting sleep.
In all my wanderings, this place has been my home. I grew up in this city, and now I begin my last journey. I look up at the sun and its familiar sky. I feel its warmth on my face, only to say goodbye. In the daytime of my life, in mid-breath, this policeman death arrests me, as he arrests all others, young and old, at home or in the street. To the cold waters of darkness we go, never to return across that silent river. No wedding for me, no music, no guests in the room. My wedding gift is eternity in a stone tomb. My dowry forever not to be. Death my bridegroom.
But your action is famous. In every street, mouths whisper, Antigone, you go down to the dead. The promise of glory ringing in your head, and nothing to value your beauty. No sword and scourge, plague unvisited, unmarked, untouched. You pass from the danger of the light into the safety of eternal night. Alive, alone, and free.
Do you remember the sad story of Teiresias' daughter? She was a stranger like me from Phrygia, unmarried, endangered by mine. She was sentenced to death on the rock of Syphilis, and there was no glory for her, only the endless shock of the elements. And in that terrible place where she was imprisoned, the mountains embraced like fingers of ivy mine whipped her to rags and exposed her painted naked sky. What bitter tears she shed as she slowly turned to stone, and the grey rock petrified her by inches, and she died. Her story is mine. Today I shall share her rocky bed.
But she was a goddess, not born for death, like the children of men whose desperate mortality is their only certainty. Will it soothe your pain to share her destiny, or soften your distress? As alive in the earth, you draw your last breath to live on in legend, in stone.
This is a mockery. By everything that our fathers has ever held sacred, landowners, elders, people of Kowloon, my dying is no joke. Am I a figure of fun to be insulted and humiliated like a child as I leave you forever? Well then. Apartments and alleyways stood defiant. Planes banking ceaseless above the roofs where children play. Jet fumes lifting their kites. You must be our witnesses. My last mourners. As I, victimized by an unjust law, I go to my stone tomb, while the cold darkness descends on my stony bed, halfway between the living and the dead.
No one has ever dared to go so far as you have dared to go. Now you have stumbled and stubbed your toe, and will shortly shed your blood on the marble staircase of the law. You carry your father's crimes like a millstone on your back. Small wonder at such times, if bones bend or break.
Remembrance of my father's long agony and the suffering of my family from the very beginning. So much grief from the unlucky chance of the son finding the mother's bed. And worst of all, the benighted offspring from that unspeakable marriage. And I, along with the others, share that terrible destiny conceived in incest. No repentance can soften the punishment. The years pass, the agonies increase, and there's no relief for our tears. No marriage for me, for certain. I shall close that book forever as I meet my mother and father in the shades. The weddings will cease. Marriage to the woman of Argos destroyed my brother and will finish me too. One death breeds another.
To pay respect to the dead is praiseworthy, an act of love, and religion must have its due. But no civilized state can eschew authority. Laws must be obeyed, whether we approve or disapprove. But if you refuse to sanction the power of the state by indulging your obsession, you connive at your own fate.
Spare me your sympathy. Weep no false tears. I know the path that I must follow. To the sunless country of eternal sorrow, the unimaginable years, the bleak waters of eternity, no grief where none is felt. I shall go alone and in silence to my house of stone.
If death could be prevented by singing arias about it, or other self-indulgent displays of grief, this performance would go on forever, I've no doubt. But I've had enough of it. Take her away. Lock her up in a stone vault with half a mountain for a roof, then brick up the door. Let her die there if she chooses. Or, if she prefers, let her stay alive in her grave. Because the grave's the only fit place for her. Solitary confinement among the dead. Whatever she does, there will be no guilt, or on the state. Her death is her own. But there is no place for her among the living.
My honeymoon bed, my prison, my crypt under the city, my home for the rest of time. I shall meet so many of my relations there. We shall all be guests of that sad-faced god of the dead in that bleak hotel that is never short of a room. I am the last, the unluckiest, I think, and the youngest booking it too soon. But my father will be there to meet me at the doors. My mother will smile and hold me close as she always does. And my brother, he can knock her own young way, more than all the rest. At each fresh grave, I arranged the flowers and made them offerings. And for my beloved Polynices, whose broken body I set to rest, I am rewarded with a shameful death. There are some, I know, more thoughtful people who will justify my action, who will respect me. Not even for a husband, not even for a son. You see, when I've done this, if the law had forbidden it, I would have bowed my head and let them rot. Do you understand? I could have married again, had another husband, had more children by him if the first had died. Do you see? They make menga. But my mother and father are dead. There will be no more brothers, never again. My love had to speak at Polynices' grave, or nowhere. And for that terrible, terrible crime, my dearest brother Creon sentences me to death, drags me here into a room under the city, a living death in silence and darkness and solitude. Die unmarried. All those pleasures denied me, motherhood denied me too, no children to love me or to love, and now no friends. 我有背叛良心咩？我有推翻天理咩？ Yet now, not even a god will help me. There's no man who will, I'm sure of that. No help and no hope. How can there be? When common decency has been declared a crime, if the gods above have changed their ways and this is the way to order things now, then I shall have learned my lesson the hard way and I shall soon know it. But if others are mistaken, let them be punished as I have been punished and suffer the injustice that I suffer!
She hasn't changed even now. The anger inside her still blows like a hurricane.
So she's got rid of. Shut up, out of harm's way and forgotten about the better. Tell those guards to get a move on or they will regret it.
That word is my death.
Now it is spoken. Don't comfort yourself with hope. There is none.
This is the land of my fathers. The walled city built by the hands of my people. You see, counselors, my time is running out. There's none left. I am the last of my father's blood. The daughter of the dynasty. And I die his victim, unjustly, for upholding justice and the humanity of humankind.
Councillors, and your new governor, Creon.
人道小童有4人，2人仅靠2只眼，双眼虽能，心却无，法伤涉水，无
Teiresias. What news brings an old woman so far?
Important news which can't wait, and advice which, if you're wise, you'll listen to.
I have always listened and acted upon it more than once.
兼听则明，不惧讳言，才能多次宣言呢。
I admit it. We all do. We're in your debt.
And for God's sake, listen to me now. 您正在刀尖上行走，稍一不慎，会跌得粉身碎骨。
Are you serious? Any man would shudder to hear such words from your lips that have foretold so many horrors. Tell me what you mean.
Oh yes, I intend to. Everything my experience of understanding the symbols and forecasting the future has revealed to me, I will make plain to you. I was sitting in my usual seat, a place where I can hear the singing and the secret language of the birds and understand their meaning, when I heard quite unexpectedly a terrible new sound. Like shrieking, or cries of anguish, hysterical twittering and whistling like the babble of a barbaric language, only capable of expressing hatred or pain. By that, from the wild beating of the wings, I knew the birds were at war. Such sounds could mean nothing else. I could well imagine the blood-stained beaks and dripping claws, and the thought disturbed me deeply. 我龟甲张虎之时，火之其背，不见黑血自甲缝流出，状若淋漓。继而甲裂数处，纹理错乱。我虽目不能视，而巧头见之，有我所见他不见之。观者无不骇然，以为大凶之兆，或天地震怒，或人间将有祸患临头。Then it was revealed to me. I understood that you, Creon, have decreed this filth which chokes our waters. The blood and flesh that decays and stinks there is the blood and flesh vomited from the gullets of dogs and carrion crows, the blood of Polyneices, the flesh of their unluckiest of sons of Oedipus, still uncremated, and affronting more than our sense of smell. Gods themselves are disgusted. They reject our prayers and our sacrifices. How can they do otherwise? How can the birds sing of anything but horrors blown out with this banquet of human blood, clogged and stinging till their very beaks dripped with it? 亲爱的，听我一句劝：人非圣贤，孰能无过？知错能改，善莫大焉。The man who can recognize what he has done, see that he was mistaken or morally wrong, admit it and put it right, that man proves that it is never too late to become wise, and no one will condemn him. He compounds his stupidity with stubbornness, and an obstinate refusal to face the facts. He is nothing but a fool. Is there anything more stupid than a stupid man who cannot see his own stupidity? Polyneices is dead. Don't revenge yourself on his remains. You can kill a man once, and once only can any glory be gained by defeating a poor corpse. 这都是贫道的肺腑之言，请您务必采纳呀。
So, that's your news, is it, old woman? I'm to be the target, am I? For everyone to shoot at? Well, I'm wise too. Wise to the ways of fortune tellers and the buying and selling that you will go in for. I see I'm to be part of the bargain. I'm to be bought and sold like silver from the exchequer at Sardis, or gold from India. I'm to be part of the trade. Well, let me tell you this. There is not enough gold in the world to buy a grave for that man. If the gods and magistrates of hell should send him over that silver bridge and place him bowing at your great emperor's feet, not even that blasphemy can deter me from my purpose. Because I know that no single human act, however much it may degrade the earth or the people who perpetrate or suffer it, can ever stain the purity of the ever-living God. But hear this, Teiresias. A man can fall. He can fall like a stone. Especially if he pretends to give good advice and wrap it in a profound cloak of religiosity, when all the while naked self-interest and a greed for profit are the only motives that motivate him.
这世上还有没有明白人？
Goodness, how profound! Do you have any more thunderous platitudes to follow that one?
金玉良言，千金难求。And good advice is worth more than a fortune to any man.
And bad advice is worse than worthless. A disease which infects even the wisest of men.
You describe your own symptoms exactly.
I refuse to be involved in a slanging match with the recognized prophet of Hong Kong.
And yet you insult me to my face! You say that my predictions are both false and dishonest.
That is because all fortune tellers are money grubbers and charlatans.
Governors too have been known to take wisdom.
Do you know who you are speaking to? I am your governor.
You are the governor. Yes. My good advice helped make you one.
You've had your successes, I know that. You've been right on several occasions, but honesty is another matter. I have never trusted you.
Don't provoke me to tell you everything. The dark waters of prophecy are better left undiscovered.
Disturb them. I don't care. Say anything at all, but say it honestly, not for cash.
Are you really foolish enough to believe that money has ever been my motive?
Because my integrity is not for sale.
Listen, Creon! This is the truth. Before many days, before the sun has risen, well, shall we say a few more times, you will have made your payment, corpse for corpse, with a child of your own blood. You have buried the one still living. The woman who moves and breathes, you have given to the grave. 其兄长曝尸于荒野，为野犬突救忠实，此乃大不敬之罪。阎王震怒时，魂灵不得安息，日日受炼狱业火之煎熬。Such matters are not for you to judge. You usurp the ancient rights which even our triads themselves don't dare to question, powers which are not in the prerogative of kings or governors. 此等肆虐暴行，人神共愤，天理不容。The suffering you inflicted upon others will be inflicted upon you, and you will suffer as they did. 你说我被 bribed 了，你说我利欲熏心。Before very long, yes, it will be soon, there will be screaming and bitter tears and hysterical crying in this house. 到时定将乌烟瘴气，天崩地裂，民不聊生。Dogs and vultures will swarm the streets, dropping fragments of the uncremated men at corners, on doorsteps, in the public squares. They will smell the pollution and turn to you, its author. That's all I have to say. You made me angry, Creon, with your crude accusations. So I made you my target. And like a good marksman, all my shots will hit the ground. You can feel the pain, like an arrow. Yeah! I should not have you. I'll leave you alone to entertain some younger years in my Eurydice. 教他，让我自求多福，让我学识三字经。My lord, she is gone, promising nothing but destruction to come. I grew grey-haired in this city. My hair was dark, and now it is white. And in all that time, I have never known any of her prophecies to be proved wrong.
Neither have I. That I know as much as you. My head is split in a tug of war. First one way, then the other. How can I come back now? How can I stand here and stubbornly wait for whoever disaster may be on its way?
Lord Creon, it's time to take good advice.
Go on then. Give it. Don't be afraid, I will listen.
Release the woman from her underground prison. And give honorable burial to the dead man.
So that's your idea. Total collapse. Complete withdrawal. Is that what you all think?
We do, sir, and do it quickly for heaven's sake. The gods never move faster than when punishing men for the consequences of their own actions.
How can I do it? It is unendurable to deny every principle and action I have stood fast by. I dare not stand against the iron laws of necessity.
Do it now, sir. And do it personally. Not by proxy. With your own hands.
Yes. I shall go. Do it myself at once. Somebody, everybody bring spades and sledgehammers out into the mountain. I'm coming with you. If I've changed my mind, I shall do so with the same determination. I sentence her. and I shall rescue her, tear down the bricks with my own fingertips if necessary. Perhaps it is wiser to let the old noise stand. My fears tell me so. A voice even the most prudent of men must listen to.
Counselors, listen. Descendants of Cadmus who founded our city, and you who built it, good people of Hong Kong. No man's life ever moves smoothly, according to plan. Who can make judgment say this is praiseworthy in human existence, and it is to be despised when chance rules everything? One moment a man rides high on his fortunes, and in the same moment he crashes to the depths. Luck, like the tide, is certain to ebb after the flow, and no man can tell what will happen tomorrow. Everyone surely envied Creon. He saved his country from its enemies, taken power as governor, and his position in this city was unchallenged. What's more, he did rule well, with a firm hand. And his son was at his side to help and advise him. All that is over now. What life can there be when the things that make life pleasant are all destroyed? A kind of death. Moving and breathing, yes, but not living. That is how it is for him. What joy can there be when all happiness is dead in his heart? Of course, he is rich beyond accounting. He is a governor still, with all the pomp and circumstance that rank implies. But what is it worth? When all the joy of life is gone, it is a shadow, a mockery, a vulgar pageant. Who can take pleasure in wealth or power when the happiness is dead in his heart?
More tragedy for this family? Tell us your news.
They are both dead, and the living must take the blame.
Who killed them? Who's dead? What happened? Tell us.
The king's son Haemon, the royal blood shed by a royal hand.
His father, do you mean, or his own?
His own held the sword, but his father's actions drove it home.
The prophet warned us all, and it all came true.
That is how things are.
The doors are opening.
Look, here's Eurydice, poor woman, Creon's wife.
Does she know, do you think? Has she come here by chance? Because she has heard rumors about the son.
Gentlemen. Good friends. My ears caught something of what you were saying. A few words as I opened the door. I was on my way to offer prayers to our good mother. And when we had just drawn back the bolt, I heard a few scraps of your conversation. Not to make me feel small, I swear. An accident. Or some disaster to those we love. I almost fainted. My ladies in waiting caught me in her arm. Please speak out plainly, whatever it is. I can bear it. We are bred to stoicism in this family.
亲爱的夫人啊，我就在现场亲眼目睹了一切，还是让我把事实原原本本地告诉你吧。只是抱不住我的，生在撒谎也没有意义了。I went with the governor, your husband, inside the walled city, where we saw the body of Polynices still lying where she lay him, but he was in a terrible state. The dogs had beaten him. So we prayed. We prayed first to Guan Yin, who forgives all and shows mercy to those who stand at the scenes of crimes and fear to bow their heads. And and then to Haemon, king of the underworld. We asked them to have pity on him, and on us, and not to be angry. Then we washed him. What was left of him, with holy water we cut fresh branches to make a pyre, and we burnt the remains. Then we shoveled a mound of the earth of his homeland over the ashes, and when we finished, we hurried off as fast as we could to the prison cell furnished with stones, served as a bridal suite for the girl married to death. But before we arrived, one of the soldiers with the unenviable job of guarding that god-forsaken place, he came running back to tell the governor that he'd heard a terrible noise, like screaming, coming from the mountain. As Creon got nearer, he heard it too. Faint but audible, kind of weird sobbing or moaning. Low and unearthly, as though grief was speaking its own naked language. Creon groaned, and we all heard him say, "Oh, this is what I was afraid of. Am I a prophet too? This path up to the tomb, these last few steps, are the most agonizing journey I shall ever make. I can hear my son's voice in there. You, guards, anybody, get inside, squeeze between the rocks where somebody has already forced an entrance. Get into the main chamber of the cave and tell me if it is my son's voice I hear or whether the demon is playing some brutal game with me." So we went inside and we looked as the half-crazed governor had told us to. The darkest corner we saw, strung up by the hanging from an improvised rope of twisted linen strips torn from her own dress. Haemon was right beside her, cuddling her body as it dangled there, sobbing broken-heartedly. It is his wife's death and his marriage bad luck and his father's cruelty that had made certain would never take place. Creon saw them, staggered into the cave, groaning like an animal. "My boy, my poor boy, what have you done? Have you gone mad coming here? There is nothing here for you but death and annihilation and despair. Come away from them, my son, please. My God, I'm begging you, please, come away." Boy, he just looked at him. His eyes were terrifying, with an anger like I have never seen before. Without a word, he spat in his father's face, and he drew his sword and he lunged straight for the old man, the Creon. Creon was quick. He skipped out of distance. And poor boy, hysterical, with grief and self-disgust, he held the sword at arm's length, and he plunged it between his own ribs. And then, still conscious, he lifted the girl down into the crook of his arm and he cradled her there in his own blood. His breathing got harder and shorter as his life flooded away before our eyes like a fountain, soaking her body, so that her white cheeks flushed red again with bloodstains. So now they are together. Two corpses joined in death. He got his marriage, but it was solemnized in the grave where there are no celebrations. They look like unborn, quietly sleeping side by pig-headedness and arrogance.
That's strange. What do you make of it? His wife is gone without another word, giving no indication or influence. Hey, I remember.
It scares me a little. I'm quite sure she has good reason. A public demonstration of grief would be unlike her. She will suffer, like any other mother, but in private with her women. No, she's far too sensitive.
I don't know. Her silence was unnerving. Dangerously unlike one would expect. That sort of silence is sometimes more threatening than screaming or tears.
You're right. I will go and after her just to make sure. She seemed to feel nothing. In my experience, that can be more dangerous.
But there, the governor is coming, not alone. Silent witness comes before him, dead as stone, unspeaking evidence that the grief, like the crime, is all his own. He now suffers from his wrongdoing.
There was hatred inside me. The urge to destroy drove me like a maniac, and the same plunge towards death. See here, the killer and his victim. See here, the father and his son. I was responsible. My actions killed him. There is no blame for him. None. Blasted in the morning of your life. Hope. Joy. My hand powered the life. My arrogance determined your fate.
You see the truth now, but you see it too late.
Suffering is the only school teacher. God has broken my back, whipped me like a beast up this stony track, and destroyed all self-respect. All pleasure, all rejoicing, they have turned to weeping and anguish. Man is but a mortal creature. Affliction is all he can expect.
So, you have suffered enough, but more suffering is marked to your name. One agony lies here in the open, and another is waiting, the same anguish redoubled behind the door.
There can be nothing worse. My heart is broken.
Your wife is dead. The mother of this slaughtered son. Her wound is fresh, but the breath of life is gone.
It's deep. Bottomless, the abyss of the dead. Will you kill me too? Or bend me to my knees to suffer longer, beating my head, insensible with pain? What have you said, messenger of death with a sad face, more than you've said already? My way is towards the darkness. My case can be no worse than it is. Is there to be more blood, more savagery, more hacking of flesh, more pain, first the son, then the mother, no end to this grief?
There's no hiding it now. See for yourself.
No! Unending, unendurable pain. This is the second time I am forced to see what no man should ever see, not even once.
It was there by the household shrine she collapsed, still holding the razor-sharp knife. As darkness drew down its slow blinds and her eyes closed, she spoke of Megaris, her elder son who died in the fullness of his youth. And she wept for the son who died today. And with her last dying breath, she cursed you as his murderer.
I'm shaking. I shall go mad with this terror. There must be a sword somewhere, a sharp two-edged knife to cut away my life. Living is misery and hell for me. When I look, I see blood everywhere.
It is no more than the truth I have told. mother and son.
How did she do it? She do it alone.
She had them weeping for Haemon, cried aloud, and skewered herself under the heart with a sword.
She spoke the truth. All the guilt is mine. I am the murderer! Make that play. Somebody! Anybody, take me away! I disgrace the decent light of day. I am nothing! I have become nothing!
Who are we to judge in times like these? Prompt action is safest. What else is there to lose?
Where are you, my friend? Come, you shadowy messenger who runs faster than the wind! Wrap me in darkness as a friend should! Why waste another day? Why? What use have I of daylight? Why did my misery darken the face of another dawn? Pull down the blind!
Tomorrow is a mystery. No man can tell what time will make plain. We live day by day. The future is in greater hands than ours.
I want nothing. My last simplest prayers.
No time for prayers. It's too late for them. What must come will come today or tomorrow.
Take me then. The man who killed, without knowing it, his wife and son. Which way shall I go? Left or right? All wrong turnings now. Into the night. Darkness. Hide me. There is blood on my hands. My head is split. My back is broken. I should be dead. I should be dead!
The key to happiness is to nurture wisdom in your heart. For man to attend to man's business and let the gods be their guide. Above all, to stand in awe of the eternal, unalterable rule. The proud man may pretend in his arrogance to despise everything but himself. In the end, the gods will bring him to grief. Today, with our eyes, we have seen a proud man through suffering become wise.
Mary, Vanessa,
Hold the power, let me leave.
Okay.
Two, one.